Chief Wendy Bainbridge, BAIMBRIDGE, and behind me is Commander Wynn over the Northwest Division and Lieutenant Knott, who is the ship commander here at Northwest. At approximately 11 o'clock this afternoon, we received a hospital check call at Memorial Hermann at Memorial City Hospital, saying that we had an 8-month-old with a gunshot wound to his abdomen. And so we determined that the incident actually occurred here at this apartment complex, inside an apartment on the upstairs second floor bedroom. It looks like it's most likely, sadly, occurred by the 3-year-old brother of the infant. It was just one gunshot to the abdomen, and unfortunately our little one is deceased. I just want to take this moment to say that and plead with parents and guardians all over to not allow your firearms to be accessible to anyone in the house. Lock them up. There are things that you can do to render that weapon safe. And so please pray for this family. This is just a tragic event. And with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Have you determined the owner of the gun?
Not yet, sir.
Do you anticipate anybody being charged?
That's going to be up to the Homicide Division and the District Attorney's Office, and that will be forthcoming later at this time, or you can check in with Homicide later this afternoon. But this case is in its infancy, so Homicide just arrived here, and they're at the hospital as well.
Was somebody supervising the children when they were there?
It's my understanding that there were indeed people in the home. Yes.
Were there adults?
Yes.
Have you guys recovered the gun?
We are still looking for the weapon at this time. There's a search to be done. There's some things that we need to search through first, and also a vehicle. So no, we have not recovered the weapon yet.
Why would you have to search for the weapon?
This case is in its infancy, and we don't know at this point.
Why would you have to search for the weapon?
Well, there's clutter in the room.
Can you describe approximately where the gun was, or when this happened? I mean, where the gun was in the room?
Well, it's yet to be determined. We have to go through interviews, and we have to search the apartment as well.
How many adults were in the house? Do you know?
Approximately 4.
And you're going to only find 3? If you're looking for one, who took over the car, was you saying?
No, there's 2 adults at the car, and there's at the hospital with the child, and then there's 2 here.
Did the adults take the child to the hospital, or was it ambulance?
The adults took the child to the hospital.
Did the adults call police when the incident happened?
The hospital is the one who contacted us.
Why didn't they call 911?
I don't know. That's going to be part of the interview process.
Have you guys tried to talk to the toddler? Was he like watching cartoons and this is how he played? Or
there's enough evidence to determine that most likely at this time, again, this is in its infancy, but most likely that is what happened. It was the 3-year-old.
Could you repeat what happened?
I cannot release a lot of information at this point as far as what the 3-year-old may or may not have said.
Can you tell us the genders of these children, both the 8-month-old and the 3-year-old?
Both little boys.
Now, is it the crime scene unit that will actually go through the apartment to document and search at the same time, or is the homicide detectives, is it their job to try to find the weapon?
They are going to be searching in conjunction with the Homicide Division and detectives that are on the scene.
Are you certain that the weapon is still on the premises?
It could be at the premises, or it could be in the car. Again, we won't know until we find it. Then we will.
Who is the owner of the car in relationship to this crime scene? The car that it may be in?
I don't have that information.
And Chief, rather than call homicide, should they follow for updates on Twitter?
Yes, if the Homicide Division will release them to Twitter, yes.
Can you just talk to us in general about, when you do when you're out here processing a case like this, how tragic it is, how it's preventable, and kind of emphasize what else should be done? And you can go to the majority of the
Yes, this is heartbreaking. Obviously, anytime one of these incidents involves our little one, or anything that hurts or kills one of our little ones, it's tragic. It's profoundly sad. It's one of those cases that you just don't want to get. It's one of those cases that you just remember. And it just stays with you because they're truly innocent. And so that's why we're not taking anything for granted here, and we're going to go forward with the investigation to determine all the facts surrounding the case and this death of this child.
Just for clarification, are you searching for an individual that may be connected to this?
No.
No,
Do you know half or full or anything? Do you have that information?
I don't have that level of no.
Okay.
Has any adult come forward saying that was my gun? He was somewhere in the house. He was under the bed, like that.
I cannot release that information at this point.
How rare is this, or how common is it? Do you have any, like, how often? Really situations like this?
Where a child unfortunately gets a firearm, how common is that? It's common enough, sadly, to have to make a law to not allow a firearm to be accessible to a child.
Chief, I'm sorry, I just need clarification on one point. You said that the gun may be in a vehicle. Can you explain that a little bit so I have an understanding?
Well, the child was taken to the hospital in a vehicle.
And so was the gun, possibly?
We don't know. Again, we have to search everywhere to find out. And if you want that level of information, you'll have to wait for Homicide Division to release it. Sorry, I can't release a lot of
So
information.
Is the vehicle at the hospital
Yes.
part of the crime scene then?
The vehicle is at the hospital.
And is being treated as part of the crime scene?
Yes, we're going to forward with the full investigation until we determine otherwise that it is what we think it is at this point, based on what we do have.
Did the child arrive? Was it deceased at the hospital, or was pronounced deceased at the hospital? Dead at the hospital. The child.
From what I understand, he was pronounced at the hospital, but we need to verify that.
Any other questions?
So one more, just recap
Yes, sir.
from the beginning. You said, the very beginning of the
So at approximately 11 o'clock this afternoon, HPD received a call at Memorial City Herman Hospital, and it was regarding a check on welfare of an 8-month-old who was shot in the abdomen. And upon arrival, we determined that the incident indeed happened here at this apartment complex. And when we got here, we determined that most likely at this point, again, this is preliminary investigation, but most likely at this point, it looks like his 3-year-old sibling is the one who discharged the weapon. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Chief.